feel like a question that always comes to mind, in terms of, you pray that God will give you influence, which I feel like is something that people usually don't pray for because it's like they don't want that because in case it does happen, and it's like, it's going to be a lot. But you did pray for that, and, God has connected you and brought you here, and you're doing different things. So obviously, he's answered that prayer, and as he will continue, which I'm sure you'll be able to share with us. But how do you, as a person, kind of keep yourself grounded in light of, just people knowing you, recognize you? Because it's something where I feel like by human nature, it feeds into this ego that's inside of us, even though we pretend like, no, oh my gosh, I do this for the Lord, whatever. But it's still something that can creep in if you don't control it. It can kind of, it's kind of like that, not that people worship you, but they can kind of put you on this pedestal that feels good, and then you're Jake, but you see people, you're like, I'm kind of better than these people type of deal because I'm known. Like, how do you kind of fight against those thoughts, that feeling, and everything else?
Yeah, I mean, I think what's really interesting is that I'm actually, and it always kind of baffles me because I actually don't have like the 100,000 followers or anything like that. And so God is actually he's humbled me every single time. I'm hitting we're hitting videos that get 1 million views, but it never comes to me. Maybe a lot of people have seen me, but it actually doesn't it's not actually something I'm able to actually go off of. Yeah. And I'm like, God, I want to use this, or you want to use this. And so I think one thing to actually just share with everybody is you don't need the 500,000 followers. You don't need the 1 million followers. Literally just be an influence where you are. And also, honestly, it's sometimes that influence doesn't actually have to be on what social media is and stuff like that. What I've been able to do, which has been really awesome, is there's just a church that I go to. It's called House Church. And so it's all these different creatives, even Montel, even attended one time. And so, so there's all these creatives and stuff. And so what's been really awesome is the Lord told me to serve this church. And so I kind of just see it as I'm able to influence the influencers, maybe at some point God wants to make me an influencer, but it's really interesting because that's something I've wanted. I feel my whole entire life was to be an influencer. The funny thing is God hasn't given that to me with being the followers or whatever like that. And I feel in those moments, I think that I just kind of embraced it. I'm like, God, whatever you have for me, cool. And then also also being friends with people who are these influencers, I understand that it's actually a responsibility. And so what's amazing is God is really kind of sharing that with me of this is a responsibility. And so I'm kind of thanks Lord for not giving me these 100,000 followers or whatever like that, because I mean I'm able to do what I need to do and not be have all of the different stuff or the extra problems that come with it, So I've just been able to influence the influencers, So that's awesome.
And it's crazy because obviously it might not be your verbatim prayer, but in how you worded it here is just saying, Lord, I would like influence.
Yeah.
Not saying I would like massive influence.
Yeah.
Not saying the particular vein of influence, but in it, you asking the Lord, hey, give me influence. But in that is help me to be obedient in the lane of influence you want to give me, but also with the level that he wants to give you at different levels of time.
Yeah.
And that is something that, to your knowledge or not, would have been ingrained in those prayers. And it's something that the Lord was able to continue to give you the humility that would benefit you, and give you the pace of journey that was to benefit you as well. Because I'm sure if it would have been right off the bat, hundreds of thousands or millions,
I mean, you don't even
know where it would have gone.
Yeah, for instance, I said, that one video is getting at 10 million, and it's not even coming to me, and I'm like, oh my God, what's going on here? It's not even affecting me, and still, it still feels so weird. So I think definitely understanding that, there's, I was saying, there's responsibility with all of that. And so, I mean, imagine, I start to think of, imagine if I did have that, 2 years ago, I don't know, maybe, I don't know what it would have been like, but I don't think I would actually have been ready because so I would say recently I've been able, like I was saying, to kind of see the harvest of all the different prayers that I've been praying. And so seeing all of it come at once in this 1 week, honestly, has been really overwhelming. And so I start to think of like, wow, God, like, that's why you didn't want to give it to me. Because the thing is, I would be distracted by that and not serving you. And I'm like, man. And of course, like, if we're not like, because the thing is, these things take your time. And it's like, but, you know, it's like, imagine not being able to have that time to be able to like spend with God. And like those moments of when I'm able to like just be in the Word and being able to just journal with God and pray, man, those are just literally like crucial. Like,